Okay. All right. Well, good evening and thank you everyone for joining us online. I would like to start off by saying that West Hants Regional Municipality acknowledges that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people, and that this land is governed by the treaties of peace and friendship signed in 1726. West Hants Regional Municipality recognizes that we are all treaty people and have responsibilities to this land and each other. And West Hants Regional Municipality also recognizes African Nova Scotians are distinct people whose history, legacies, and contributions have enriched that part of Mi'kma'ki known as Nova Scotia for over 400 years. So this meeting is hosted by Planning and Development staff and WSP, who is our consultant on this project. And this meeting is to provide members of the public with an opportunity to learn about the progress on the plan review project, as well as ask questions. And as we go through the presentation, we welcome your questions through the chat box. So there's a chat box in the Zoom meeting there that you can type in your questions. And to ensure respectful and productive discussion, we kindly ask that all messages remain courteous, and our staff is here to help, and we appreciate your cooperation in maintaining a positive environment. So tonight we have a 20 to 30-minute presentation followed by a question period. This meeting will wrap up at 7 p.m. and we'll do our best to answer as many questions as possible. However, if you have additional questions or comments, please forward them to us after the meeting. Our contact information will be available on the slides later in this meeting for you to see. And as a reminder, this meeting will be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube page and available after this meeting. And with that, I will pass it over to Erin and Courtney.
Good evening. Let me just share my screen. And if someone could just kindly confirm that you can see that, that would be great.
It's up now, yeah.
Perfect. Good evening, everyone. My name is Erin Sauvé. I'm a senior planner with WSP, and I'm joined by my colleague and the manager for Planning Atlantic, Courtney Lawrence. And let's get started. So tonight we're here to talk about the municipal document review for the West Hants Regional Municipality. Really to give you an overview of how the presentation today is going to go. First, we're going to really just talk about what's the purpose of the project, give you a brief project overview, as well as highlighting some key changes to the new municipal planning strategy and the new land use bylaw. And finally, we will discuss the next steps. So West Hants Regional Municipality has undergone significant changes since the last time the planning documents for the municipality and the former municipalities were developed and adopted. Currently, there are different sets of policies and regulations for various parts of the municipality. Further, the conditions have changed. So there's been lots of population growth in the region, diversification of economic interests, a rise in extreme weather conditions are all contributing factors for the need of a review. This project represents an opportunity to review the entire MPS documents along with the accompanying bylaws to ensure that they align with the council and community's vision and direction. The review also creates an opportunity to consider the changing local context and ensure that the evolving needs and priorities of the community are met. Overall, the documents are required by the Municipal Government Act, and they must be reasonably consistent with the statements of provincial interests. And ultimately, it helps the municipal council to guide, regulate, and control land use within the municipality. So to give an overview of the current planning documents in place right now, as I had said, there's different sets of policies and documents for different areas of the municipality. So prior to the consolidation in 2015 with Hantsport and then April 2020 with Windsor, each Windsor, West Hants, and Hantsport had their own individual planning documents administered by their separate councils. With the creation of the West Hants Regional Municipality, and the goal of this project is really to consolidate the multiple planning documents and create a new planning document for the municipality as a whole. So for the project overview, so in total, there's been 4 phases for this project. The first phase was really just the project setup, where we had meetings with the West Hants team themselves, as well as we also had workshops with the council and the Planning Advisory and Heritage Advisory Committee. And with that, we really developed a communications and engagement plan on how exactly we were going to engage with the public and key stakeholders. And then moving into phase 2 was the background review and visioning. So a lot of this was really about the data collection, preparing a background review and policy directions report, and building off of all the work completed to date from the municipality. Additionally, we also had previous engagement later in 2024. We're currently right now in phase 3, and really this is just about preparing the drafts. So we're currently more towards the end of phase 3, going into phase 4. The drafts of the documents are nearly complete and will be ready for public review in the coming months. And then finally, phase 4 is the refinement and finalization. So with this, we'll have the final municipal planning strategy, land use bylaw, and subdivision bylaw, which we'll be reviewing with the project team and getting feedback and just kind of fine tuning those documents before they go to council adoption and public hearing. So first, we're going to start off with the municipal planning strategy. And with this, we're really just going to provide an overview of what are some of the key changes and how exactly these documents are shaped up to be, and really just highlighting, like I said, those key changes. So first off, what is a municipal planning strategy? So the municipal planning strategy is a planning policy document that provides a vision for growth and development. It details strategic objectives to implement the vision. It also guides where land uses should be located. So where residential, retail, office, commercial, industrial, those types of uses should be throughout the municipality. It also directs what natural and cultural heritage features should be protected and or enhanced, identifies future roads and new infrastructure, and reflects provincial and local interests and values. So with the new municipal planning strategy, ultimately the format of the document itself is going to have 6 sections, with one section really outlining the schedules, which are also known as maps. A couple of additions to the documents include a land acknowledgement, a vision and guiding principles, which we'll get into a little bit later. As well as one of the main changes in the new municipal planning strategy was to consolidate the policies and designations of the former municipalities and remove any duplications, and just making it simpler to the user. One of the important things to note that the project team recognizes that the West Hants Regional Municipality is made up of multiple communities that all have their own character. So it was really important to have geographic specific policies to maintain that character in those areas. We also added an enabling policy to allow the creation of secondary plans, which secondary plans are a more detailed land use planning document that provides a framework to guide development in a specific area with the municipality. Ultimately, secondary plans provide more detailed policy direction than the municipal planning strategy, and addresses specific issues related to this secondary plan area. So for the vision statement and guiding principles that was included, the vision helps guide the overall direction of the municipal planning strategy and is established, which helps shape the priorities and the basis of the plan. The vision itself was actually derived from what we heard through the community consultation in phase 2, as well as our engagement with council and the Planning and Heritage Advisory Committee. I'll give everyone just a moment to read the vision. I won't read it out just because it's typically easier when I just let some time just to read it yourselves. Okay. So in addition to the vision statement, as I had mentioned, is we also have guiding principles. So in total, there are 7 guiding principles that have been added. Similar to the vision, like I had said, these were also built on what we've heard through the community consultation and with council, but it also included the background information provided by the West Hants Regional Municipality, and the background report that was prepared in phase 2. And really how these were created was just more of what we were hearing from the community and what was important and what really should guide the vision and the overall direction on what the municipality should go to in the next 20 years. So really with this was really about having an inclusive community that offers a high quality of life for residents and attracts both residents and tourists. Having those healthy, safe, and vibrant mixed-use neighborhoods, encouraging a diverse range of housing types, including affordable and supportive housing, promoting climate resilience, so implementing strong adaptation measures to help protect against extreme weather and coastal risks, as well as supporting a balanced economy that provides both traditional and modern economic sectors. And a big one that came as well was the connectivity of the transportation systems and infrastructure throughout the municipality. And finally, to celebrate and protect the cultural and built heritage values and resources. So with the MPS, we also, what we included in that was the growth and municipal structure. And the municipal structure really provides guidance on direction of where the development and growth should be throughout the municipality. As I had mentioned previously, we recognize that the municipality is made up of multiple communities. And really how we tried to aim this is those communities wanted to maintain their identity with the larger of these community called growth centers, and then followed by the former hamlets and village called local centers. So the growth centers will be Windsor, Hantsport, 3 Mile Plains, and Falmouth. And really, this is where the growth will be directed with higher densities, where infrastructure like water and sewer already exist, and really capitalizing on bringing active transportation into these areas. The local centers includes the former hamlets and the Brooklyn Village. So limited infill will be encouraged through intensification and development. However, it's going to be subject to on-site servicing and the servicing capacity. Additionally, there's agricultural areas. So this includes any existing agricultural lands, which will be protected, and really to support a sustainable agri-food network and agricultural related business. Followed by the resource areas. So this includes the forested and mineral-rich lands where development is anticipated to occur. So resource areas will also support renewable energy generation, such as wind and solar projects. And this here, for the next few slides, are really just to give some overarching policy directions from what really the changes are in the documents. I do want to reiterate that the changes to these documents only apply to what on your land if you're proposing to do something different. Currently, what you're doing on your property will still be maintained to be allowed. This is just, like I said, only if you go to propose something else. So with that, for the new policy directions for transportation, we have included some policies to facilitate and encourage active transportation and rideshare programs. Also exploring and studying the feasibility of a public transportation system, and developing an overall transportation master plan for the entire municipality. For environment, we've included some considerations for development in flood-prone areas. So examples of this means maybe potential development restrictions, expanded flood mapping, and so on. We've also included policies that regulate new renewable energy projects, so like your wind farms and solar farms. and also included policies to support stormwater management and application requirements for new developments. Another big one was also the cultural heritage resources. So we've added some new policies that support architectural controlled districts. Currently, there is only one architectural controlled district in Windsor, more the downtown area. So we've added a policy that really includes the ability to have the development of additional districts throughout the municipality, should those be wanting to be pursued. We've also included some policies to identify and protect archaeological resources and a commitment to work with First Nations and Indigenous communities, as well as implementing view planes to limit building heights and protect historic viewpoints such as Fort Edward. Some other changes included were around housing. So with housing, we've added some policies to have additional dwelling units, such as a secondary dwelling in an existing single detached dwelling as of right. We've also carried forward the recent West Hants Regional Municipality Housing Accelerator funding policy changes that were approved in earlier last month. And with that, those changes is really they've replaced the single unit residential zone with a new low density residential zone, which permits up to 4 units as of right. In the medium density residential zone, permit up to 6 units as of right. And then followed by the high density residential zone that permits more than 6 units up to a maximum of 12 units. We've also streamlined the application process to only require a development agreement for more than 12 units, where currently it's anything more than 3 units would be required to go through a development agreement. So in the MPS, there are land use designations, and in these land use designations, this also includes the permitted uses and the associated land use policies that direct the general pattern for growth and development over the planning period. So really this provides the direction of what type of development and built form that is permitted within each land use designation and its height. So the land use bylaw, which we'll get into following the municipal planning strategy, will prescribe the precise regulations on the land use permissions in conformity with the policies of this plan. We've also included a new subsection on land uses permitted in all designations. And to give you an idea of some of the designations that we've proposed, many of these are from the existing documents where we have just consolidated and really just tried to simplify what the designations are. So some of these include residential, commercial, the downtown core, College Road Comprehensive District, the local centers, which were formerly the village and hamlet designations, agriculture, industrial, resource, community use, Nesbitt Island, and we've also included some overlays that were carried through from the previous plan. So with the growth centers, we have made some adjustments to the boundaries, as the boundary really primarily in the Windsor one was mostly just the previous municipal boundary. So this was modified to remove the agricultural lands from the growth center to ensure agricultural lands are protected as we are directing growth to these growth centers. As I had mentioned, growth should be directed towards residential and commercial lands within the boundaries, and agricultural land should be designated outside of growth centers. So they're protected for agricultural use and ensuring long-term food security and environmental health. The 3 Mile Plains Growth Center is the map on the right-hand side of the screen. Was modified primarily because Garland's Crossing, a new subdivision which is currently under construction, was actually split between both the Windsor Growth Center and the 3 Mile Plains Growth Center. So just for simplicity purposes, it's all been moved into the Windsor Growth Center. So now we're going to move into the land use bylaw, similar to the municipal planning strategy. I'm just going to provide an overview of exactly what the changes we're proposing, as well as just giving an overview of the document itself. So what is a land use bylaw? The land use bylaw implements the objectives and policies of the municipal planning strategy. The land use bylaw states, and really this kind of captures what the image on the right-hand side of the screen is. So how may that land be used, where buildings and other structures can be located, if there's any setbacks or building massing and height, as well as lot coverage, the types of buildings that are permitted and how they may be used, as well as the lot sizes and dimensions, parking requirements, building heights, and setbacks from the street. So really the land use bylaw provides a legal way of managing land use and development, and it also protects from conflicting and potentially hazard land uses in the West Hants Regional Municipality. So overall, the new land use bylaw, the biggest changes was the improvements to the format and structure. So the document itself has been reformatted to be more readable and user-friendly. We've included diagrams and illustrations like on the right here, where clarification is needed, as well as we've consolidated and renamed some of the sections for greater clarity, as well as having consistent general provisions throughout the document, as well as new regulations to be reasonably consistent with provincial legislation and the new municipal planning strategy. As I mentioned previously, we've had added illustrations. Some of these illustrations are actually also found in the definitions as well, just to help the reader understand. And just to give an overview, so across the 3 existing land use bylaws, currently there's a total of over 55 zones. The new land use bylaw proposes to consolidate a number of those zones, many of which have this similar intent or similar provisions. For example, such as the residential zones, each of the different former municipalities, had very similar residential zones. So really what we've tried to do is just kind of consolidate where we can. As you can see, in total, we are proposing 30 zones are proposed across the 6 zone categories. So residential, commercial, industrial, agricultural, resource, and community use. And community use also includes use like institutional uses as well. Within the land use bylaw, there also is general provisions, and these are just overarching regulations that apply across all or most zones within the West Hants Regional Municipality. So there's been a number of changes that are either new or improved general provisions. This includes licensed cannabis uses. So this is a new general provision for Windsor. Currently, it's only permitted in the joint industrial type 3, but now it'll be permitted in all zones as an accessory use to any licensed cannabis use. However, there will be provisions such as minimum separation distance from residential dwellings. There's new regulations for dog parks. This is new for across the entire municipality. This also includes lot requirements such as minimum lot size, setbacks and buffers. Similar to with kennels, this is a new regulations for Windsor and Hantsport, and it previously wasn't included in their general provisions. And skate parks, this is currently not included in any of the documents, so this is something new for all 3. And similar to the MPS, or the municipal planning strategy, a number of the provisions were combined or simplified. These include topics such as automobile service stations, home-based businesses, height exemptions, and landscaping. And then there's the parking and loading. So the big change for this across all documents except for Hantsport is it's actually removed and put into its own section in the West Hants and the Windsor documents currently. It's within the general provisions. So for simplicity, we've just pulled that out. And we've refined the minimum off-street parking space requirements by type of use and parking space and area regulations. And we've also included bicycle parking requirements. These were added to the land use bylaw. So these requirements will apply to all residential, commercial, and institutional zones across the growth centers and local centers. And finally, for what's next, so this month we're going to be completing the public engagement. There will also be in-person public engagement starting tomorrow as well as on June 5th at 2 different locations. And then throughout the summer, we're really going to refine and finalize those planning documents from what we hear today and what we hear at the events later this week. And then moving into fall, we're going to be going towards the council adoption and public hearing. So with that, I will, if there's any questions, please put them into the question box or the chat box, and we will answer those as we go through. Again, I'd just like to thank you for taking the time today to come to this event. And we look forward to hear your comments and questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. So as it was stated, we're going to move into some Q&A time. I believe it should be open now. So if you do have any questions, please go ahead and type them into our Q&A section on Zoom. And we'll give you a few moments to start with that right now. Thank you.
I will also just mention, in case you don't want to put something in the chat, you're more than welcome to email the email on the screen, and we can answer your question. Likely not tonight, but in the coming days, we can address those. Thanks.
We have our first, there we go. Carrie, I see you've got something there.
Yes, sorry. I just see there was a comment added into the Q&A section. So
Oh, yes, I see that now.
Thanks.
Thank
We've
you.
got a comment here saying that it's a great overview and it looks like we've got some very positive changes. Thank you for that comment. Maybe we'll give just a few more moments and then maybe I'll make a few last calls to see if we do get any additional questions. In the meantime, to break the silence, Aaron, do you mind just moving the slide back one, just so we can have a look at the in-person open house dates? The next one is tomorrow, and that's at the Falmouth Community Hall. That's from 3 until 6 p.m. And we also have another in-person date at the Brooklyn Fire Hall on Thursday, and that's also from 3 until 6. So we will be set up, and it'll be an open house style event. So you can come in, chat with staff, and we can discuss any comments or questions that you have at that point in time. Okay, seeing that we don't have any additional questions right now, maybe I'll make one more call, and if we don't have any additional after that, then we'll move on. Okay, we received another question. I'll put it out here, and it's regarding at the information sessions, will we have maps identifying land borders for every type of land? And we do have some maps that will be available at our information sessions on Tuesday and Thursday. So they will display the different zones and different designations of properties. We won't get into any of the super specifics on individual properties. However, you will be able to see that information on the maps that we will have. And maybe with that, that will be our last call for questions. One last call for questions. Okay, seeing that we have no more, I'd like to thank everyone who attended this meeting and will be watching it afterwards once it's recorded and posted. Thank you very much to the rest of the staff here, and thank you, WSP, Aaron, and Courtney, for attending tonight and providing this presentation. Again, I'll just reiterate that we do have additional in-person sessions as shown on the slide here, June 3rd and June 5th, both 3 to 6. And aside from that, thank you for your attendance and your attention tonight.